Be 7 o'clock, February 16th, 2022. The Selectmen's meeting is now open up. First order is the public comment. Do we have any public comment tonight? There being none. The review of the minutes for January 19th, 2022. What's the pleasure of the board?
Mr. Chair, I make a motion that we approve the minutes for January 19th, 2022.
Second.
What's the vote?
Second.
Okay, but aye, 4-0. Next on the agenda is the liquor license change of category hearing for 1183 Main Street. We received an application to change the license category from a wine and malt package store to an all alcohol with the liquor license held by Super Summit Incorporated DBA Next Door Market located at 1183 Main Street, Clinton. Unfortunately, the license holder is unavailable to make it tonight, Mr. Ward.
Right, Mr. Chairman, this was a special legislation that went through, took a long time going through the legislature, and it passed to allow them to convert from a beer and wine to all alcohol. So he was hoping that we could, get it scheduled and move it along. But when we scheduled this night, he hadn't realized that he was out of town this week. So I think the recommendation would be to open the hearing so that we don't have to renotice.
Okay.
And then continue to the next meeting, and then he can attend that next meeting in 2 weeks.
So moved.
Second.
Vote.
Aye.
4-0. Continue to the next meeting.
Thank you.
All right, the next thing is the landfill project order. I believe Mr. McGowan is here to explain this one.
Yeah,
Or, excuse me, Mr. Gibbons.
thank you, Mr. Chair. This is just in connection with the, I'm looking for the board's approval for the order of taking for the property on South Meadow Road. This order of taking will take some permanent and temporary easements that are required in connection with the DEP mandate that we dredged upon. So I'm looking for the board to approve that order of taking, so we then could record the order of taking and provide the appropriate notice to the property owner.
So moved.
Second.
Vote.
Aye.
Aye. 4-0.
Thank you.
Okay, our next on the order is the emergency management position. Mr. Wood?
Mr. Chair, on this issue here, Chairman Kerrigan is currently the interim director. Mr. Zapanthis, Constantino Zapanthis, had served for many, many years and did a great job for us. He had resigned there last year, and by default, if there's no one appointed to the position, it turns to the chairman of the Board of Selectmen to head up that agency. So Mr. Kerrigan has been doing it. So at this point, I think he just wanted to open up discussion to see how the board would like to proceed in the future. Things like everything in life is getting much more complicated, and there's a lot of interaction now with the Mass Emergency Management Agency at the state. A lot more grants and paperwork and interaction with the state, and a lot more, weather events and disaster declarations that we've been having in the last couple of years. So the question, I think, is, with myself and Mr. Kerrigan had met with a representative from the state and looking at what might be a model or a recommendation. It's always been volunteers in the past, but a lot of towns are moving to maybe one of their public safety officers of taking it over, either police chief or fire chief, and they kind of would head it up. Not saying you could still have a group of volunteers that help during incidents, but who would actually kind of administer the agency. So I think Ms. Kerrigan just kind of wanted to put out there to start discussions to see if we wanted to approach the police or fire about it, or if people had strong feelings about gauging the interest of the community to have another volunteer step up, or just kind of what model we'd like to pursue on a permanent replacement for that position.
Mr. Chair, did the state representative, did you say?
Yeah, there was a representative from MEMA that we had met
Okay.
with and just kind of talked about, where do we go from here after not having a long-term, person in the position. So now what would our next steps be?
Were there any recommendations, or were they able to supply any models of communities similar to Clinton and what they currently use?
Exactly. They try not to, they don't want to kind of tell you what to do, so they're just kind of supplying the information. They said, a lot of communities do fire chief. More and more communities are, police chiefs are getting involved. They said some communities, not as many, but a handful have their Board of Health, chair or agent or whatever that headed up. So there's a lot of different models there. Some have police and fire chief together, and they both share the role. And then some still have the volunteers, the people from the community. So they kind of just presented, a lay of the land. I think mostly at this point, they said most communities that go to staff is usually fire chiefs. But as he did say that, the police were getting more involved in this as well too. So I think during the pandemic and all the climate issues that we're having, that to have that coordination, and Mr. Sepanthis had all the contacts there at the state and was very good about keeping connected. But with more and more issues going on, needing someone that's really going to kind of generate that relationship and that contact with the state, so that we know that we'd have the resources and be able to react quickly when we need to. So they didn't really provide a recommendation. We were kind of looking for guidance. They kind of just supplied us the information, and I think, as they say, the chair just wanted to kind of get the people's thoughts and get the discussion started. That's all.
Mr. Chair? I'm sorry, do you want to go?
No, I was just wondering, is it a group and the director position is being filled in by the chairperson, or are there additional people, or is it just a director, like a one position?
Well, right, there are a number of volunteers, so they
Okay.
do have a number of people that volunteer for the agency right now. That when there's an incident, they'll come out and they'll, help man the station, whatever they need to get done, whether it's clearing roads or helping to watch wires or pump people's houses if they need help with flooding and different things like that. So there are a group of, again, very dedicated people that have been doing it for a long time, and they do it volunteer, and they come out at all hours, and it's been really great.
Okay.
So there would, we still would hopefully be able to maintain that interest of that volunteer group, because they are valuable, but it's really the director position as to really who's going to be the one completing the paperwork and the reports and applying for the grants and, kind of heading up the agency. So, so certainly we can, maybe gauge the interest in the volunteers to see if there's anyone there that wanted to step up for it. I haven't had any extensive discussions with police or fire chief at this point either. So it could maybe be just seeing who might have interest, and maybe we could follow up further from there.
Yeah, I mean, it does seem like a natural extension of fire and police, but I don't know if anyone's interested in taking that on.
Mr. Tebow?
Mr. Chair, I'd like to make a motion to ask Mr. Ward to reach out to the fire chief and the police chief and just gauge their interest in possibly serving on that position. I think the one of the suggestions for the model, if I heard Mr. Ward correctly, was the fire chief and police chief kind of like co-managing the department. I think that would make the most sense. But I don't know, they might be just up to their neck and not be able to take this on, but we won't know that unless we ask, so. I think we should.
Mr. Aston?
Yeah.
I'll second that motion.
Second. Vote? Aye.
Aye.
4-0.
Thank you.
And next on the agenda is the water sewer trash payment. Superintendent of Public Works, Christopher McGowan, has submitted a list of water sewer trash abatements in the amount of $8,752.62 from the last billing cycle for this action by the Board of Selectmen. What's the board's pleasure?
I'll make a motion to approve the abatement requests.
I'll second the motion.
The vote is 3-0. The chair abstains. Next, we have old and new business. Correct me, Council, right, how do you say that, Janetta? On the Express thing?
I think it's Diligentia, yeah.
Express LLC. The town solicitor has been negotiating a host community agreement to allow this company, Express LLC, to operate a cannabis delivery business at 20 Cameron Street in Clinton. The owner is requesting consideration for to be changed to, the first is a technical change. The agreement as drafted is between the town and the group. They are asking for it to be changed to between the town and, again, that same name, Express Limited Liability Corporation, is the entirety that would hold the marijuana established license with the CCC, and the one that will be operator of the proposed delivery service. The second is a request that the community impact fee be changed from 3% for the duration of the agreement to one that is staggered. 1% for the first year, 2% for the second year, and 3% for the following years under the agreement. The reason for this request is that the marijuana delivery license type is designed in recognition of the high barriers to entry and difficulty in accessing capital for social equity applicants like this company. It would be consistent with the intent of the state regulators and not to detract 3% from the local sales tax that's still in effect that would drive the sales from the original or originating in Massachusetts. The third request is to ask that the board, the town processing payment due per the current HCA draft 7 days after the execution of this agreement be extended to 30 days. This request is for the purpose of allowing more flexibility in capital expenditures for the company while they are in the pre-revenue generating stage.
Yeah, and Mr. Chair, I'll let you, I can turn over to the town council. He has been working with them in negotiation, but there is a representative from the proposed business as well here tonight, if the board wanted to invite them up to ask further questions.
Yeah. Just by way of further background, yeah, the HCA has been negotiated. We've agreed on all terms except for the three requests that Mr. Busno has just read off to the board. The first and the third request, the first request, the entity change, that's just a technical change. That's fine. We have no problem with that. The third change, processing payment within 30 days as opposed to at the time the HCA is executed, we've done that in the past, so I don't see any problem with that. The middle requirement, in the past we've traditionally had all our applicants pay a 3% impact fee. There has been a couple exceptions. If you recall, the board did vote for that data center. I don't think it's up and running, but it was a little bit different. They were going to run that data center. I forget what street it was on. But that their impact fee was, we had a sliding scale on that. The board approved that. And then I think one of our first or second applicants, the impact fee was, I think it was only 1% or $100,000, whichever was higher. So there has been some circumstances where the impact fee wasn't 3%. The one thing I will explain to the board here is that, as Mr. Busno mentioned, this applicant is a social equity applicant. The Cannabis Control Commission has set up this social equity program where they're trying to get, to create access to the cannabis industry for certain individuals and certain communities. And this applicant does fall into that program. The applicant has gone through the training, so that is somewhat unique. The other thing I want to point out to the board is even though they are a marijuana delivery operator under the regulations, the 3% sales tax still applies to this entity. So when they make a sale, they're making a delivery, they make a sale, there's a 3% sales tax, just like there are on the two retailers that we have here in Massachusetts. So the town does get the benefit of that 3%. So we're going to get the 3% on retail sales plus whatever the impact fee is. So the way the HCA was originally drafted, we had the 3% impact fee starting in year one. The applicant is asking 1% first year, 2% second year, and then 3% thereafter, just for the impact fee. Obviously the sales tax, 3% doesn't change. So.
Mr. Chair, so Bob, so the main, like rationale for this request is, like they say here, the difficulty in accessing capital for social equity applicants. That's their main rationale for, because they're in this program, they're saying it's kind of difficult for some of the applicants to get the capital, so this would like help them. All right, so it is, and none of the other, are any of the other businesses in town, the marijuana businesses in town, are they in any of these social equity applicant
No,
programs?
I'm not aware that any others are in the SCP program.
Okay.
I'll make a motion that we approve the request based upon town council's and Mr. Ward's approval.
I'll second that, yeah.
Okay, was the vote? 4-0. Next, we have Assistant Town Administrator position. Mr. Duval would like to provide an update on a meeting with the Personnel Board regarding this issue.
So
Just 1 second, you had skipped over the fiscal year 2023 budget procedure.
Oh, yeah, that's not in the,
Not on mine.
no, it's on the front one. It's on the front page, it's not on the more detailed section.
Fiscal year 2023 budget procedure. I'll open that up.
Was there anything that,
Yeah, just starting out, kind of wanted to start the conversation. We did talk with the Finance Committee, and they were amenable to wanting to do the joint meetings. They were looking to set up, it was either we were either looking at March 8th, 9th, or 10th to start the joint meetings with the Finance Committee. I know there are a lot of people involved. If the board is willing to, first want to get the approval for the board to go in that direction, and then secondly, to see if any of those dates would be a conflict. I think there might have been a conflict on the 8th for some of the finance, and I think a conflict maybe on the 10th. So the 9th is Wednesday, which isn't it's an off week for the selectmen, so I don't know if that would work for everyone. I tried put a call in a short time ago to the Mr. Latini, so once I talked to him, we're trying to firm up that date to see if everyone can make it. So the hope was to try to see if A, the selectmen are good with that, doing the joint meetings, and B, if that week, some time of that week would work for everybody. So I think the first meeting we wanted to do police, fire, DPW, and facilities to go through, since we get so many people schedules together, to try to get as much done as we can. And then the next night would be perhaps school and library, parks, and senior center, and then maybe a third night to do whatever other budgets that people were interested in, whether, we wanted to talk with the treasurer about debt and health insurance. Our health insurance program is changing, so there is a bit of an increase in that program this year, or any other of interest department that people might have that we can invite on that third night. So I don't think the intent, well, for the finance initially anyways, and once the two boards get together, you can decide how to handle it. I don't think it was having a joint meeting with every single town department, but at least the major, medium, large, and medium-sized town departments, that everyone could then be in the same room, hear the questioning, hear the comments, get all the information together, and then hopefully, that the month of, you'd have 2 months of April and May, then to try to develop your final recommendations, and the subcommittees to get together and take 2 months to try to wrap up the budget for town meetings. So that was kind of what they were thinking, and asked that, I passed that on to the selectmen. So that's, and then I think, if there are any other comments of how we want to proceed, or information that the board is looking for. I know there are a lot of new members this year on finance that are new as well. So, I think they're looking for as much information as possible to try to give them a better feel and sense of the department's spending and budget requests, so that everyone can kind of, know that they're putting together the best recommendation possible. So,
Are you okay with that?
yeah.
All right, moving on.
Hold on, one more second.
My only question is the intention of this, this proposed meeting, is it gonna be all 5 selectmen and all 5 members of the finance committee?
Right.
Okay, so
Yep.
it's different from, so this was your kind of suggestion that instead of us meeting with the different boards and then them going to, okay, all right, yep, understood, thank you.
Yep. So
And
there would be a
just one more
joint
question
meeting.
related to the budget. Have the budgets been requested from the departments at this time?
They haven't formally been requested, the departments have submitted them, and we have people, departments that have sent them in. 2 issues that I was waiting for was, one, 2 weeks ago, the state budget came out to give us a direction on how much we were getting in state aid. And the other big number we were waiting for was last week, we just got our health insurance number. So those were 2 key factors. Generally, when we ask for the budget, we try to say, whatever scenario we're looking for, to do it all together. So we don't want to then be, asking them, going back 2 or 3 times for it. So sometimes we'll say level services, level funded, a reduction budget. So until we have all the revenue numbers and the big budget buster numbers, to know whether we got to ask them to cut the budget or whether they can ask for their request. So looking at the numbers, the way they look right now, it appears that at least we can work towards a level services budget, so they can give us, again, not a wish list budget, but at least some increases as to how they feel they can better run the department at the current services that they're providing right now. So I think we don't have to go down the road of asking for a cut budget or a reduction budget, so it would just save them some time to do that. So long story short is, I think we have all the information to be able to get them to start getting all the numbers in. Departments have submitted budgets already, and then the ones that are outstanding, I'll just give them further direction on what I'm looking for them to submit. So I've talked to most of the larger departments anyways, and kind of got a sense of where they're at. So we'll just start getting, over the next week or so, start getting those numbers that we can upload to the spreadsheet so that we can get you a packet before that joint meeting in March.
Are you okay with that? All right, Mr. Duval, would you like to, on the Assistant Town Administrator update?
I met with the Personnel Board on Monday, and they approved the most recent draft that I shared with all of you, I think 1 or 2 weeks ago. So that same last draft that was circulated is the one that was approved on Monday at the Personnel Board meeting, the job description. And unless anyone has any reservations, I would like to make a motion that the Board of Selectmen approve that job description, so that we can start posting and advertising for the position.
That was a motion, Ed, right?
That was a motion.
I guess I can make a second. Second?
Vote.
Any discussion or?
Any discussion?
Yeah, discuss.
I saw the job description that Ms. Prophet had put together, which was, I commend her for. I thought it was quite thorough. The only question I had was on that job description, there wasn't anything that necessarily pertained to evaluations directly, but I didn't know if that was underneath the human resources element of that, or if that's kind of open-ended where that position could contribute to evaluations if directed by Mr. Ward.
Yeah, I think it's captured, the intent was that the assistant town administrator is just going to assist the town administrator with the evaluations. If at any point the town administrator is comfortable in letting the assistant town administrator conduct some evaluations on their own, that's his decision. But I don't think there's anything specific in the job description. I don't think that we would need to have anything specific in the job description to say that they'd be expected to do evaluations. I think it's stated in there that they're expected to assist in the evaluation.
Well, because I know that was one of the points that was struck from the original job description that we approved. So I just wanted to make sure that, or clarify if there is a component of that in there, or if that was completely struck.
I mean, there's certainly nothing in there preventing an assistant town administrator from, but it's gonna come down to and that's gonna be Mike's decision, and it's one that he probably won't come to until he has a certain level of comfort with the position, and he thinks that they're up to speed to handle it. But, overall, I didn't really see, I thought that the last round of updates that the Personnel Board did were, in my opinion, were very minor. I think it still kept the spirit of the second to last draft. So I was okay with it. So
Good.
ends the discussion. There's no more discussion? Okay. I think we can do the vote.
What do we got for a vote? Ed?
Yep.
5-0. Last thing on the thing is the, any committee reports tonight?
Mr. Chair, did you guys cover the SEMA stuff, or did you hold on to that one?
Which one?
The SEMA director thing? I know I wasn't here, I just,
Mr. Ward addressed that one. What did we?
Yeah, the board did open up discussions. They motioned to initially reach out to police chief and fire chief, see if there's any interest in their getting involved in this position, and then report back to the board. Also, at that point then, too, we discussed whether, we wanted to gauge the interest of the volunteers, but I think initially wanted to start with police and fire, and then report back to the board from there.
thank you very much. For committee reports, I know we had advertised, I think we had advertised for cable. We had 2 people interested in cable, and I was just holding off on appointing them until I made sure that there was no other interest, so we didn't have people staggering into meetings. But I know we want to meet soon, and if there's no other interest from the public, it's my intention to nominate, or to appoint Matt Varakis and Tom Flanagan. I just want to make sure if all's quiet out there, that's fine. We're always looking for help, but we want to get these guys on board. I just didn't want people staggering in if we're going to turn things out.
I'll second your motion.
Okay. I think the chair not to sound, I
Yeah.
think I get to do it on my own.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, so I'll shoot them emails. Let
Okay.
them know. Okay. And I don't know when our next meeting is, but we'll,
March 2nd.
No, I mean
committee.
cable, yeah.
Cable committee, sorry.
I will let them know, so.
We good?
You guys making quick work at things. You're gonna,
You might be fine.
I'm welcome back here. All right.
I hope you're running late every one.
That's it for me, yeah.
That's it, okay. Next, executive session under Article 3. Right, we're going to take a roll call vote. Mr. DeBolt?
Aye.
Mr. McComas?
Aye.
Mr. Kerrigan?
Aye.
Julie?
Aye.
And the chair votes aye. We're adjourning tonight's meeting. We will not be returning. We're going into executive session.
Oh, before we adjourn,
excuse me.
sorry, can I just, in the notes, we announced at our last meeting that the town was acquiring some COVID tests. There's going to be a clinic, correct me if I'm wrong, open to the public while supplies last on Sunday, February 20th. That's this Sunday at Clinton Middle School in the parking lot from 12 to 2 p.m. So I know the schools have a program where you can sign up for at-home testing, but if you're a family in need and you need a test, I think we got 2,000. So I'm not sure how many are doled out for town employees and first responders, but hopefully there's a good supply out there, and if anybody needs some, at the middle school parking lot on Sunday from 12 to 2. Thank you.
Yes, the Board of Health had purchased 2,000 kits. They're 2 per kit, so there's 4,000 tests, but 2,000 boxes. They did save, I don't know, as Mr. Kerrigan indicated, I don't know how many they saved out for public safety and to keep essential services running, but the balance will then be given out in a drive-through clinic on Sunday from 12 to 2, so people just drive up and there'll be someone handing them to them at their window, and then just try to keep the traffic moving from there. So it's while supplies last, so we only have a finite amount, so as people show up, they'll be handed out, and then they run out. It could be 2 hours, it could be 1 hour, depending on how many people come, so.
Good.
Good?
All right. Meeting is now closed. We're going into executive session under Article 3.